Good evening, everyone. Chiefs Kingdom, welcome to Chiefs Digest Live. Sorry for the late start again tonight. I did put ish on the Twitter announcement, so I guess I covered my bases. And I know you, a long time viewers, will absolutely know that this is not a surprise at all. But I truly appreciate those of you who are able to join a little bit late. And yes, Luttrell, it is hooray, hooray! It is Q&A day. I almost put that in the announcement since we didn't have the live stream last week, just because hooray, hooray! Q&A day is back, Luttrell. But I didn't. I was going to credit you, and I probably will just from because I'm not stealing hooray, hooray! It's Q&A day without crediting you, Luttrell. So you brought that to the show. So um, welcome, everyone. It has been a busy couple of weeks. I anticipate it's going to be a busy off season for the Chiefs as well. There's a lot going on. I know some of you are hoping that the Chiefs beat the Raiders on Sunday. I know some of you are hoping that the Chiefs don't beat the Raiders on Sunday because you are looking for a better draft pick. But a lot going on. I think you're going to see I think a typical week 18 game. There will be some differences. Obviously, Andy Reid has made the reference to Travis Kelce playing a little bit against the Raiders, which in a normal week 18, this situation, he would not be playing. But with this potentially being his last game, I think he certainly wants to be out there and have a chance to play one more game. Trying to chase down Jason Witten. He needs 57 yards to be the number 2 tight end all time in receiving yards. So I think there's some reasons for Travis to play. There are some players with some incentives. They may want to play in some veterans, but this is an opportunity, as always in this week 18 game, if it's not a significant game for the Chiefs as far as their standings go, it's an opportunity for Andy Reid, Brett Veach, and this coaching staff to be able to evaluate some of the rookies and players that they haven't seen a lot of. And I think who plays and who doesn't play is going to be fairly interesting. I think we'll learn, not just about who might be in the team's plans, who's not in the team's plans, but even more specifically, what roles that some of these players might be in, because there's guys like Jeff Bossa and Jalen Royals and Brashard Smith that haven't seen a lot of playing time in their current positions. And honestly, if they're not playing a lot in this game, I'll wonder what their future positions are. Not that they're not going to make the team in 2026 or there's any danger of that, but just whether or not the Chiefs, see maybe different roles for some of these players. So we will see. Like I said, I think it's going to be an interesting week. We got to hear from Andy Reid on Monday. I think I felt like the only notable thing that we kind of came out of there with was obviously a little bit about Travis Kelce playing. But I had to make sure I wanted to ask him about, if he had any thoughts whatsoever about not returning in 2026 and that this might be his last year. And obviously he said and told me that he does plan to return next year. Is under contract till 2029, but he's going to be 68 next year. Doesn't mean it's a guarantee. And I certainly can never, believe Andy Reid going out on a season like this. So I truly felt that he was going to be back, but the rumors are always out there and I like to squelch rumors. So to me, it was an opportunity to ask Andy himself whether or not he was going to be back, what his plans were, and if there was any scenario that he could see. I mean, obviously there's things that can happen that are out of your control, but I think Andy made it pretty clear that if it's within his control, he does plan to be the head coach of this team in 2026. And with his contract running through 2029, it certainly could still have a few more years left to go. So I don't think there's any doubt you're going to see Andy Reid on the sidelines in 2026. Might be some other changes. Obviously, with the Chiefs now have 20 players on injured reserve, which I think between the last time that we had a Q&A, it might be like 7 more players than they had at that time last time, and they have pretty much cleared out the practice squad. The practice squad now, after 2 more signings today, they've got 12 of those 16 slots filled. I'm not even sure they're going to fill those final 4 slots. Remember, practice squad contracts will expire after the regular season, and practice squad players would typically be in line for reserve future contracts, which would kick in and put them on the 90-man roster when the NFL season's officially over. And so we got a little ways there, and it's going to be a little bit different off season, obviously, than Chiefs fans are used to. So I'm going to stop my rambling and let you all ramble from here on in. You get to choose what you want to talk about, and we'll go to Chris right off. Chris, the owner of Big Charlie's Pub in Philly, died shortly after watching the Chiefs. Don't take that in the middle of that kind of conversation. Whereas now can permanently close. Does that best represent how 25 went? I mean, it was very sad. You know, that's obviously the story about Big Charlie's. Has been told and told very well by some excellent reporters. Vahe Gregorian at the Star has had a couple of great stories on that over the years, and and about the bet, winning the bicycle, and when the Chiefs won Super Bowl IV, and that kind of that started the whole thing with Big Charlie's, and really sad because that place has been kind of a Chiefs connection, especially in a place like Philadelphia, with the battles that the Chiefs and the Eagles have had in the Super Bowls the last few years. It is just, once again, Chris, you're right. Just a terrible karma year for 2025 if you are a Chiefs fan or anybody around. So, how about those Chiefs? Hey, Cole, great to see you. You like the squelch rumors, so Florio doesn't make 15 articles about it this offseason. Appreciate that, Cole. You are absolutely correct. You probably, I will say that I didn't have Florio in mind, but now that you put it in there, you're absolutely right. I mean, at least we've got that now, so that when Florio does have all of the clickbait that he has to get some clicks, at least we have some counter now from the man himself. And I'll admit, I mean, Cole, I probably have alluded to this story before too. I still don't know if everyone truly appreciates, because they talk of every once in a while with these stories about Andy Reid, I will see that there is, a report that will say, hey, it's been rumored before that Andy Reid was going to retire. It has actually never been legitimately rumored. That one story that, bless his heart, Jay Glazer told, it didn't really even, I don't think he even wrote anything about it. I think he just told it on air, and it probably got posted from there on Fox Sports and took a life of its own. But he just recounted a conversation that he had with Andy Reid. And what he didn't understand was that Andy Reid was joking about retiring after the game. Had no thoughts about it whatsoever. And no matter how many times that we've talked about this and kind of talked about the fact that Andy Reid was joking about that, that is literally where all of these Andy Reid rumors still stem from. And every year they come back, Andy Reid might retire, and it all stems back to a joke that he made that a guy didn't get. So it's driven me crazy now for the last 3 years, because I think that was in Phoenix at 2022. So yeah, not that I am whining or complaining, but there you go. I am whining and complaining. Cole, thanks for the super chat, and great example there is Cole. Anybody, if you do fire a super chat to us, you get to move to the front of the queue, unless I don't see it for 5 minutes or 15, or if you're Jesus, 45 minutes. But I'm going to try and be on guard tonight. So Cole, thank you for kicking us off there. I wish I need to find out what in the world is happening with the usernames and why it's you're still using all of your usernames instead of your display names. I got to figure this out, because MWR, maybe that is your display name, but I don't think it is. What is your opinion on what Chiefs should do in the first round? I think it should be a pass rusher on the D line, in my opinion. If the Chiefs can get off the field on 3rd and long, they make the playoffs in 25. Not a bad point there. I mean, you're right. I mean, 3rd and long did not treat the Chiefs well from week 1 all through the entire season. And you're right, they lost some games because of it. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, we'll see what, Brett Veach has to say about this when we get to hear from him. Some point, I think probably in the next month, we'll get to hear from him and his thoughts on what the offseason is going to look like, what some of their needs are going to be. But I can tell you, I mean, defensive line, both edge and tackle, are going to be big needs for this team. Corner is going to be a big need for this team. Running back is going to be a big need for this team. I personally don't think that they probably have much need on the offensive line. I think they're there. As a matter of fact, they may have enough depth that might be some currency for them. I really like what they've got, and I'm pretty comfortable even at the tackle situation. I think what you've seen from Mesapole and Shu Godry I mean, if those are your third and fourth tackles in 2026, I think you're in pretty good shape, honestly. So, and they've got some great young depth on the offensive line too. So I'm really comfortable there, honestly. They need to have some things freshened up, and that's another conversation. But you're talking about that first round pick. I know in the next 4 months, we're going to be talking a lot about probably what it's going to come down to, which is going to be pass rush or Jeremiah Love. I mean, there's no other running back in this year's draft that you would consider taking where the Chiefs are going to draft. So I've got no questions whatsoever about the fact that that's where this conversation is probably going to be. I still feel like from a value standpoint, from a draft value standpoint, taking a running back in the first round, it doesn't necessarily make the best sense. And Jeremiah Love, hey, at that spot, that's probably the only place you're going to get him. And he may very well be a tremendous difference maker. The difference between him and the second best running back in the draft could be incredible. My only real objection from like I said, a draft value standpoint is that for this Chiefs offense to cook, you don't need the best running back. You just need a really good running back or two that does exactly what you need and gives you exactly what you need to have. I mean, the Chiefs had the best offense in the league. Wasn't with outstanding running back. They did it with Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon in 2022. They had the best offense in the league, and they did it because they were basically getting 1,000 yards rushing and 500 yards receiving. If you get 1,500 yards out of your backfield, for the Chiefs, I mean, that's like just all that they need to be able to be a dynamic offense. I mean, anything more than that's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. You'd love to have that. So if Jeremiah Love could come to this team and be a 1,500 yard rusher and 800 yards in the receiving, I mean, fantastic. It's great. I mean, Kareem Hunt was great when he was that kind of back in 2017. And obviously, this team was averaging 7 yards a play. Even in 2018, that year with part of a year that he played with Patrick, was amazing. But you don't even need that. I mean, you need like Damian Williams is just all you need. I mean, and especially if he's sharing a backfield with some other guys who can catch the ball and be dynamic. You can cobble it together. The Chiefs just haven't had the right running backs to cobble it together the last couple of seasons, and they've had injuries too, and all of these things. But it's just that paying a running back that much and using first round draft capital, because the difference between the running back and the impact that I think that you can get, and I believe from just looking at the numbers that you can get with like a second round running back and a first round pass rusher, it's so much different than the impact that you get the other way around. With a first round running back and a second round pass rusher, you're not as good as the first option. You need to be able to fix both those things. And honestly, you're asking, what should the Chiefs do in the first round? I depending on how this plays out and where they end up picking, and certainly what happens on draft day, I wouldn't even think it's a terrible idea for the Chiefs to move out of that pick and just pick up more capital, because they do have multiple needs. And where I really like where you're going here, MWR, is that I think the Chiefs have like 4 or 5 needs on the defensive line. They probably need 4 or 5 new players on that defensive line for 2026. And yeah, you can sign some guys. Maybe there's some diamonds in the rough from some players. Maybe Zach Pickens has shown you enough to you're going to put him in the conversation for next season. But you need a lot of help. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I think you need to affect the quarterback. I think that is probably where Brett Veach will come down, but you never know. And if Jeremiah Love's available on the clock when the Chiefs draft, maybe they go that direction. I don't know, but we're gonna have a lot of fun and a lot of time to talk about it over the next 4 months. Oh, brother Rick, I saw your picture there pop up on the super chat, and I was like, you're probably gonna ask me about BJ Thompson. I need to get like your contact information, because when I do hear from his agent, I just need to send you the message immediately and let you know what's going on with BJ. I did leave a message. I have not heard back yet, so I am putting it on the list to follow up. Literally going to write it down right now. I'm grabbing my pen, my blue Sharpie. So, brother Rick, we are doing it here. BJ Thompson on my to-do list. And like I told you before, as soon as I hear, I am definitely going to post it in the comments. I will tag you. So we're gonna find out. I hope he's doing well. I don't know if football was ever going to be something that he comes back to or anything. Would love for it to be, but just hope that he's doing well health wise. That was the last up that we heard, was that he was doing well and everything, and was getting back to full health. But like I said, I don't know if football's in his plan, but I sure hope that the young man is doing well. So much appreciated, Brother Rick. I owe you that update. I will do what I can to get it for you. I'm DeBrown. Thank you also for your super chat, both of you. How was your Christmas? Really love what you and Nick do. Wish it was magnificent 2026 and beyond. I'm DeBrown. Thank you. That is incredibly kind of you. Always appreciate your contributions here. You always have great questions. I appreciate the support you've done with the super chats. You are certainly one of our most frequent super chatters, and I truly appreciate that. Christmas was pretty good. I got to just hang out with some friends and had wonderful time throughout the holidays, and that lifted my spirits and have helped me have a good holiday. Got to spend a little time with the family too. So, but camaraderie and friendship during the holidays goes a long way. And I appreciate you mentioning Nick. Nick, great news, very exciting. Nick is returning from his break. We are going to be doing 41 is the mic after the game on Sunday, analyzing the last game and kind of going over everything, and then we will plow into the off season. So I know Nick appreciates all the kind words that many of you have left for him. With his father passing away earlier this month. Obviously, Nick and his dad were really, really close. Appreciate all the kind prayers, thoughts, anything that you can send Nick's way. I know he truly appreciated and has appreciated the incredibly kind messages that many of you have left. So thank you for bearing with us. It's obviously been a difficult time for the 41 is the Mike family. Nick and I we are brothers from another mother. We are truly family. So I miss doing it because I miss talking to Nick about football. And we're going to come back and start doing it again for you. So I truly appreciate that you do appreciate that too. We love doing it. We would do it if none of you listened. Well, I would. I'm not sure if Nick would do it for me if nobody listened, but I appreciate that many of you do listen. So thank you so much. KB, will we find out why Josh Simmons was gone? I don't know. I don't know, KB. I'll be honest. If I knew, I can't say that I would tell you, because I would want to make sure that, that for Josh, it was something that he was comfortable with. Now, that being said, I'll be honest, I don't know. There's still a lot of stories out there, and I'm sure there's possibilities. One of them are true. I've heard a lot that I can verifiably say are not true. So there's a pretty good chance that some of the stories you probably heard are not accurate. Honestly, the more outlandish the story, the least likely that I'm sure that it is. With these things, usually the simplest answer is the most likely. And bottom line is, it's I can relate to whatever reason it was with Josh, because we all go through these things. Even Nick, and I don't want to share too much of it, but even with a personal matter like this, Nick had serious thoughts about how much that he should share about his personal life, and putting it out there. And we all do that. I mean, I certainly have those same questions about things in my personal life and how much I want to share with them. And there's probably times that you see breaks from content from me, and maybe there's some times that I'm taking a mental health break. I'm probably sure that there's a lot of us that are in those spots. So I don't know that was what it was for Josh. I don't know what the issues were. If he wants to tell us one day, I certainly welcome it, because I think that for the most part that these type of stories can only be good, and that I think it's helpful sometimes for anyone who's had some challenges, especially someone who's in the public light like we are. And certainly Josh Simmons much more so than I am. But I think it's a positive that sometimes you can show who we are as people, and that you can persevere and you can get through these things, because there's other people that go through the same challenges and problems that every family faces. And sometimes just knowing that there's somebody else out there like you can make things better. So I mean, it's up to Josh to tell his story. Like I said, I would appreciate that if sometimes he felt comfortable enough to do that with us, to share his story, because I'm sure that it would probably help others. And it does madden me that at the same time that there are people who would always see you coming out with a story about your, anything, the issues in your life, that people will see them as weaknesses. And we need to get past that stigma, people. So we just need to, because athletes and celebrities, anybody thing like, they're just like us. They go through the same problems, and sometimes they're magnified because of the light that is on them. So my 2 cents, I'll be done. KB, that was not directed at you. I think it's an absolutely fair question to continue to have. I mean, it's, people are concerned, and hey, did it affect your team? Maybe not. Certainly not having Josh Simmons on the field was an impact, but I think in football, that it's maybe cliche, but next man up. I mean, the team tried to persevere, and I think in many respects that they did. So and the system worked in that way. I mean, I certainly don't think that the Chiefs being 6-10 has any connection with Josh, with his absence. And I see, Chris, I saw you had a similar question there, and how confident am I that the left tackle hole is fixed moving forward? I'm kind of paid to be a little bit of a skeptic. So, and I'm from the show me state, so show me. I guess I'm always going to have a few questions. There's a lot about Josh that's truly impressed me. And one thing that, to me is a significant factor is that as well as he played this year, off of a torn patella at this point in his career, he should be so much better next year. I mean, his comfort level, his strength, his speed, he should be faster, stronger, more confident next year in that knee. And if he's able to, even 5% would be significant, because he's already pretty good. 5% improvement in those areas to next year could be the difference between him being just a really good left tackle and being the best in the league. That good. And yeah, I can tell you that from talking to people in the organization, that the Chiefs are still confident that Josh Simmons is the long-term answer, and that they have fixed that hole for maybe the next decade. So maybe certainly for the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career. So yeah, that confidence is still there. Arrowhead Corner, do you anticipate that Veach will try and bring in Boya Mafe, Jawan Briggs, and Breece Hall during free agency if they make it there? As these are people he tried to bring in via the trade this season. Arrowhead Corner, I would not be surprised, especially if those three are targeted. And running back is interesting, because Breece Hall's probably going to make some pretty good coin. There are some running backs out there that could make some pretty good money. And like I said, if you're the Chiefs, it's kind of a Moneyball thing to answer to this question. If you're the Chiefs, you're trying to buy wins. And if you want to buy wins and you're the Chiefs, what you need to do is, like I said earlier, you basically need to cobble together a running back or two that can give you 1,000 to 1,200 yards rushing and 500, 600 yards receiving. If you can get two, whether it's one dude or a combination of players, two guys that can get you to like 1,800 scrimmage yards, at least 15, but 15 to 1,800 scrimmage yards. If you can get a running back combo that can get you there, this is going to be the number one offense in the league most of the time. That's what we've seen is the difference. And, this year, Bless Isaiah Pacheco's heart, because I think he's worked his butt off, and he's a hard runner. He's just not been the same guy since the ankle. It wasn't the ankle fracture and the leg fracture. So it's tough to watch. It's tough to see, because I think that's a guy that you absolutely root for, but he just hasn't had the dynamicism and explosion. And, Kareem is at this point a very reliable short yardage back, but he's not as comfortable in the passing game as he used to be, and he doesn't have the explosion in the run game that he used to have. I would still bring back Kareem Hunt, because that guy right now in short yardage situations is a cheat code. He's more effective than the tush push. So I would bring Kareem Hunt back for that purpose alone. But you still need, I feel like if you're going to be calculating in the running back situation next year, take Kareem out of it. I mean, you basically have to you're starting from scratch. You're trying to figure out, how do you get 1,500 yards from scrimmage, 15 to 800, 1,800 yards from scrimmage from your backfield. And you need 2 new dudes to do that. I mean, if you sign Breece Hall, you're not drafting Jeremiah Love. That's one thing. I mean, you can't afford to do that. You can still probably take a running back early, but you just can't put that many resources into the running back position, especially when you've got needs as far as getting at the quarterback. Mafe and Briggs, Briggs, they were certainly interested in. So yeah, no, I think there's a definite possibility in all 3 of those guys, Arrowhead, for sure, and maybe some other names, but what the Chiefs do at running back is definitely going to be of interest. Weston, the tank for Jeremiah Love. I'm hearing lose for Love, so I guess everybody adopt your own little slogan, but we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about that in the next 4 months. Like I said, the running back versus pass rush is gonna fill some time. Arrowhead, for you personally, any set of names to hit free agency that you feel could help plug some holes and make some contributions to the team in 2026? And truly a great question, Arrowhead Corner. And I'm going to be better equipped to deal with this here in a couple of weeks. I mean, I still, even with the way the Chiefs season has gone, I'm still focused on, as I usually tell people, I can only pretty much have the bandwidth to focus on what's in front of me when it comes to the NFL and the Chiefs. That's why, I mean, I'm trying to know as much as I possibly can about the Chiefs, and I am my knowledge about the rest of the league is inch deep and a mile wide, just the opposite for the Chiefs. So and this is my typical, I don't typically get into the draft and free agency until after the Chiefs season is over. So I'm a little ways away from being where I would feel comfortable, going in depth about what the Chiefs needs are. I mean, I can look and see, what some of the scheduled free agents are and who they might be interested in, players I think would fit well with what the Chiefs do. I think the one thing that I would, and this has been from a couple of conversations that I would have today, is that I think you have to caution yourself against is that, and some of this is obviously assuming that the Chiefs keep most of their coaching staff together, especially on the defensive side. If Steve Spagnuolo is still your defensive coordinator in 2026, and I think unless he gets the head coaching job with the Giants, he probably is going to be your coordinator in 2026. You're not going to change dramatically your types of players that you're interested in. So that's why I would say that if, you're looking at pass rushers, Steve Spagnuolo runs a 4-3 defense. He's going to continue to run a 4-3 defense. You can't take a 3-4 linebacker and try and shove him into the Chiefs pass rush. I just don't think that's going to work. You saw them try it a little bit with Josh Uche, and once Uche went back to a defense that fits him, he's been kind of fantastic again. If you look out there, that's why, I mean, I don't think that the Chiefs aren't, I can't imagine the Chiefs signing Trey Hendrickson. I mean, that guy's 31 years old. And he's going to have some big market value, but that's at least the kind of player size-wise that, you could see the Chiefs going for. I mean, if you're looking at whether it's draft prospects or, free agent, the pass rushers, if you're seeing guys who are, 245, 6'4", 245, no, that's not a Steve Spagnuolo kind of guy. So that's not going to fit real well. If they're 6'5", 260, 265, we can talk. Then they're in the conversation. But you can't expect just that Steve's going to change his format and what he looks for in players. So just focus on that. Rick, Mac, where have you been? I have not been drinking sucralose, so you can be rest assured on that, Rick. I've not gone off the wagon. I am a little under the weather tonight, so I am drinking some Gatorade, but not sugar-free, so I can't do that stuff anymore, Rick. You know that. No, I apologize. Last week with the holidays, there was a lot going on, so I did not make, that was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last week was the first time I did not do the Tuesday Q&A. I know there was once that I did a Tuesday Q&A on a Wednesday, because I was sick on a Tuesday night one time. But I think that's the first Q&A on a Tuesday that I've missed. It was just the holidays catching up with me, Rick. And obviously, I mentioned the fact that, Nick and I have been on hiatus with 41 is the mic, while he's been dealing with everything with his father's passing. And Nick gets all the time in the world from all of us because that's like I said, he's been very close to his dad. There's a lot of stuff going on, as always, when those things happen. So wishing Nick the best. And I'm very excited that we're going to be able to get the band back together this week. Nikki, this is so funny, Nikki, because I think once again, you all long times know me, so you also do know that I try not to procrastinate, but do things take me longer to figure out, and sometimes I just don't get them across the finish line. Nikki, emojis. And here's the funny thing. So I'm cleaning my office yesterday and trying to do a little year-end cleanup and organize myself and everything so that I feel better about life in general. And lo and behold, this is literally on my desk right now. It is a napkin on which I wrote emojis for the members here. I'm seriously, I cannot make this up. Emojis on the napkin, which is how I do write notes sometimes. So we are going to transfer that. I'll be able to throw the napkin away, but we are putting down emojis. So I now have 2 items on my to-do list, and I have written them on the back of an envelope because, once again, that's also something I do. You're a writer. I think you go through so much paper for the most part that anytime you get free paper or free notes or are able to recycle things, we do that all the time. I've had friends. I say this because multiple friends that I worked at jobs that no one pitched recycled paper for the most part, because if something went through the printer and the other side was able to be written on, people just collect that and turn notebooks into it and everything. So you're writers, you do that. So yes, most of my most important notes on my desk, seriously, are on envelopes. They are on napkins. Here's an envelope that I have written on both sides. I don't think you can see that one real clearly. It's the light's not treating it real well. It was since we it's the envelope for my Evergy bill for paying the electricity. But since I do it on bill pay and don't need to put a check in the envelope, I just write, if it was left over, I made notes on both sides. So there you go, Nikki. It's on the new list. So for 2026, and I was actually thinking about this earlier today. So it's meant to be, Nikki. It's going to happen. I'm now moving it up the list significantly. So I'm feeling good about things right now. We're going to start 2026 off on a great start, Nikki. Appreciate you being there, and thank you for this. Thank you for being a member for 9 months. That's why you moved to the top, Nikki. Longtime members, just as good as a super chat. So you get to move up to the top. I appreciate that, Nikki. I hope you're doing well and have a great holiday. The Arrowhead Corner, I think, is next in the line. Is it possible that the Chiefs part ways with Drew Tranquill, Mike Dana, and Noah Gray this offseason as cap casualties? I think it's a possibility with all 3 of them. I know Tranquill's contract has a out built into it where you can walk away. And, when we talk about outs, we're talking about that you may have, the player may have years left on a contract, but there's so little left that you can walk away and it's not a huge cost. Drew Tranquill has $1.5 million in dead cap and a cap hit of $7.5 million. So with his bonuses and workout bonuses, everything like that, he would make about $6 million in cash next year. So you can save $6 million in cash by walking away from Drew Tranquill. I think that the Chiefs might actually be interested in keeping Drew, because if you can't sign Leo Chenal, and I've got some serious concerns about whether or not the Chiefs are going to be able to sign Leo Chenal, then you're really talking about Nick Bolton being your only experienced linebacker coming back, and you're not bringing back 2 starters. So that would be a little worrisome. Noah Gray's got the same thing. I mean, he's got $3 million in dead cap. So, he's got a cap hit for the next 2 years of 7 million each. So, you could save money. I mean, that's 14. So you're talking about saving, I mean, $11 million over the next 2 years. Now, that being said, if you don't have Travis Kelce, then you probably want Noah Gray. So, and with Noah in particular, since you do have 2 years left, I mean, obviously you could kick a little bit more of that money into 2027 if you wanted to. Remember, I mean, if you're doing caponomics, there's possibility. Well, the cap will be larger in 26 than it is in 25, and it'll be larger in 27 than in 26. But there's a possibility that it could be a lot larger in 27. So, if you're thinking from that standpoint, it could make sense that you could afford to kind of maybe pump some money into 27 a little bit more. With Tranquil only has 1 year left on that deal, so not an option there. But I still think that if you're the Chiefs and you may not have Travis Kelce next year, I mean, I do think you want Noah Gray around. So that would be a plus for keeping him. Dana also has an out. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's got an almost $2 million cap hit, and his dead money is 2.2. So you could save $9 million by moving on from Mike Dana. And I think that is a possibility. And that's why, I say that you might have a need 4 or 5 new faces on that defensive line next year. I mean, I think at this point, the only names that you could say for sure that you're going to have back without a doubt on that defensive line for next year would be Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Ashton Gelati, and Omar Norman Lott. I don't think anybody else is a guaranteed to stick around. So I think you are going to see a little bit of a rebuilt defensive front four next year. And then Mike Dana could be a part of that. I mean, he's going to be 29 next year, which, isn't a super concern for me. I mean, that's usually the last year of concern for you regarding a player. But Mike, with his cap hit, I mean, it's a pretty hefty number, and $9 million. That's a lot of money that the Chiefs could spend elsewhere. So I think that's, of the three, I would probably say the most likely would be Dana, and then probably Drew, and then Noah. But Noah and Drew were kind of a coin toss. But let's be real, the Chiefs, unfortunately, their philosophy in the offseason is going to be to try to find a way to get younger, faster, and more affordable. And if you can't tick at least 2 of those boxes, I think your roster spot is going to be, it's going to be up in the air. I mean, I think you're going to have to fight for it a little bit. Nikki, holiday peak is finally over. I worked 200 plus hours this month. Oh, so now I get to relax a bit and get back to eating better. What happens to podcasters if Chiefs aren't good again? Nikki, I imagine that there's a lot of people there in Chief podcaster land. There for a while, I think it was America's #1 growing industry was Chiefs podcasters. So yeah, I mean, although I will say this, as Eric Bieniemy would say, there's a short-term business, at least, in talking about the Chiefs when things aren't going well, because you all want to know why things aren't going well. And that's why I'm really excited that, with Nick being able to get back on the 41 is the mic this weekend, because I know Nick's going to have some feelings about how things have ended the season and everything. And I think you probably all need to hear that. You need a good Nick Jacobs rant and taking everybody to church. So I'm hoping we can get that from Nick this weekend. I think we all need that. There's, like I said, Nikki, there's at least a little bit of a market, and gosh, there's probably going to be a great market since the Chiefs have a great draft pick this year. Talking Chiefs draft on your podcast, so I imagine you'll get a lot of that. But Nikki, truly thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I remember, in my younger days working some of those. I had 100-hour weeks at times, and some of my old jobs. And I will say this: at least if you're working at 100 hours a week in PR, it's a lot better than 200 hours a week in some other professions. So I don't ever want to work that many hours in retail ever again, but I've been there too. So Nikki, thank you so much. Happy holidays. Truly appreciate, again, all the support from you. And I think you may be our longest held member, and that has always meant a lot to me, Nikki. I truly appreciate the support. You are a great fan, and I know I appreciate you. Let's see. I know exactly what time I left off. I'm on fire sort of today. I mean, I haven't left you hanging too much on super chats yet. I am not losing track of where the questions are. I mean, I'm just setting myself up for failure. I know that, but we are here. And let's see. I think there was a bunch of questions at the same timestamp. Oh, there we go. Weston, how aggressive do you think Veach gets in the offseason in terms of free agent draft, etc.? I mean, I think if you're for a Chiefs fan, I think this is the kind of offseason that you are going to be glad that Brett Veach is your GM, because I think the Chiefs are going to have to be pretty aggressive. They're going to have to be aggressive in, making some decisions of their own about their own players and who they're going to keep and who not. You may not agree with everything. They may walk on some players that you really like, and maybe some players that I really like. But they're going to have to make some tough decisions. They're going to have to be aggressive in really kind of pursuing the right free agents. I mean, they've got some needs. They're not going to be able to address them all in the draft. There's going to be some that they're going to have to sign free agents, and they're not going to be the team that's going to be able to go out there and throw, $30 million a year at a corner or $35 million at an edge rusher. I mean, that's going to be hard to do. So they're going to have to be selective. They're going to have to get it right. They're going to have to be smart about it, but they're going to have a high pick in the draft. And I mean, that's great capital to have if you got a trader and a wheeler and dealer like Brett Veach. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what Brett Veach can do, with a top 10 pick, something close to it, because sitting there making the pick might not be what he does. I keep going back and, look at what the Patriots did the year after with Tom Brady coming back from his ACL. Now, totally different week 1 versus December. So, I mean, Brady was basically ready to go following season and everything. But they weren't afraid to make some moves to try and, bolster that team. They traded their first one pick. They traded down. I think they had picked up a first round pick, I think I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was Philadelphia, but it might have been somebody else. They had picked up a first round pick from somebody else, traded that down. They traded back. Remember, they made the trade with the Chiefs to send them their previous starting quarterback. They got rid of their guy in Matt Castle, sent him to Kansas City with Mike Vrabel, and picked up, a second round pick. They ended up with, I think, 4 second round picks that year. I don't think they had a pick in the first round. They traded everything back, had 4 or 5 second round picks. They got Patrick Chung, was a really good player for them. That was the year they picked up Wes Welker. So, that draft was huge for them. And again, sometimes your success in the draft is throwing numbers at it. It's not always necessarily about having 6 picks and getting value for all 6. Sometimes it's about having like 12 picks and getting 3 or 4 of them really, really, really right. So there's different ways you can go about it. But yeah, Weston, I mean, I think Brett's going to be pretty aggressive this offseason across the board. I think he has to. This team doesn't want to rebuild. I mean, this team is not thinking to itself that 2026 is going to be a rebuild year because you don't know what you're going to have with Patrick Mahomes. This is a team that believes that every year that Patrick Mahomes is playing for them in some form is a year that they can win a Super Bowl. So even if Patrick Mahomes is not available for the entire season, if Patrick Mahomes is playing at the end of the season, they're going to think that they can win a Super Bowl. And 26 is probably going to be one of those years that it's simply, I go back to the Marty Schottenheimer days. It's get into the tournament and see what happens. And I think that's what the Chiefs will see is in 26. They're going to hope that they get Patrick back sooner than later, but as long as they can get in the playoffs and Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback at the end of the season, they feel like it's an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Rick, history shows that if you pick a running back in the first round, the top 12 picks, they are highly successful in the league. Do you think that Veach and Reed understand that? I mean, I definitely think that they'll have done their homework. I mean, they'll get it. And you're right. I mean, Jeremiah Love is, the only running back in this draft that I think everybody is going to be a consensus believer is a difference maker, like a Bijan Robinson, a Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, what Brett Veach and Andy Reid also know, Rick, and I'll tell you too, is that picking a running back in the top 12 doesn't equal Super Bowls, because all those guys have been really good. None of them won a Super Bowl. So that's not the only thing. You've got to be able to be good at other things too. You just can't have a great running back. You need to be great at other stuff. And, the Lions, I can't really say that, the Lions are, they're not a playoff team this year because they took Jahmyr Gibbs instead of a pass rusher. No, because they've got really good pass rushers. That hasn't been a problem for them. I mean, sometimes it's bad luck. Sometimes you're just incomplete to be, as a team. You've got to figure out those things that are wrong. And that's the thing, is that the Chiefs have a handful of things, a half dozen things at least, that are wrong. I know some of you are going to say there's probably 40 things that are wrong, but as I think Brett Veach will remind you all at some point in the offseason, you're never as good as you think, and you're never as bad as you think. And that's what this team believes. So even though, like I said, I told Weston they're going to be aggressive, they're going to be, measured too. And so, Rick, I can make the argument both ways that, that yes, taking Jeremiah Love in the top 12, if you get him, have a chance at him, his recent history suggests that he will hit, that he will be a good player, but doesn't equal Super Bowl success. And I think this is just more coincidence than anything else. I'm not saying there's any causation here. Correlation does not equal causation. But my favorite trivia question right now is the last running back drafted in the first round who won a Super Bowl with the team that drafted them. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2020. Got a couple of Super Bowl rings. The last one before that was Sony Michel, that the Patriots drafted. But Saquon got a Super Bowl, didn't get it with the team that drafted him. So your mileage may vary, Rick, but we're good. We're gonna have a fun offseason talking about it. Pano, hi Matt. Doesn't this poor season put the front office at an advantage in the sense that impending free agents can't demand big money? They're always going to demand big money, Pano. They are. And you're going to have the same problems that you would have with any free agent class. The reason why I talk about Leo Chenal probably being a difficult player to re-sign, the Chiefs have never treated him as a 3-down linebacker. They've never really, he may have started games, but they've never really given him the full-time responsibilities. And they've asked him to do a lot of things. But I imagine that there's going to be a team that's going to come around to Leo Chenal and say, we think this guy can be a 3-down linebacker, and they're going to pay him like that. And I think that's going to be difficult for the Chiefs to match. There could be some players that are just like that. This being the down year for the Chiefs, and honestly, a down year in my book for Trent McDuffie, I don't think that's going to impact how much Trent McDuffie and his agent are asking money-wise as far as a long-term deal. And this is the point at which, if Trent McDuffie is one of your guys, this is the last point at which you can really reasonably either sign or trade him. That you either sign him long-term or you trade Trent McDuffie, because after this season, his trade value basically becomes non-existent. You're only going to have the franchise tag to play with. And, right now, if you trade Trent McDuffie, you're getting, I think, at least a 2. I don't think you're getting a 1. I think you're getting a 2, and you may be able to get something else. But, if you can't sign him because he wants to be paid $25 or $30 million a year, which might not be unreasonable, there might be a team that's willing to pay him that. Nobody's going to be taking a home downtown discount, Pano, just because you had a bad year. And there's going to be a lot of players who are going to be like, well, the team had a bad year, but I didn't, so pay me my money. So I think I just channeled Nick there. Apparently, I've lost my mind tonight. Maybe it is the sugar. Oh, let's see. Who's up next? I think it's Rick is. I see it. There's a question mark in it, so I'm going to bring it up, Rick. Extend on your point earlier. You get sick of people saying you never have a running back in the first round. That's just stupid. Look at the history: Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley. I mean, again, you have a good point, Rick. But I will say, hasn't won a Super Bowl. Won a Super Bowl. I guess won a Super Bowl. But Bijan Robinson, no Super Bowl. Jahmyr Gibbs, no Super Bowl. I'm trying to remember. There's a few others on the list too, but I mean that's why it's going to be a really interesting question for the Chiefs. Is that do you, if you have that pick and you have a chance to take a guy like Jeremiah Love, do you feel like that will change your offense enough that you can afford to have some deficiencies on defense? Or do you say, wait a minute, the only way that you're going to get a premium, affordable pass rusher is to draft one in the top 12? Then you do that and you sign a running back, or you take a running back in the second round because Breece Hall. I mean, granted, it's the same argument that I'm giving about these other guys. Breece Hall did not move the needle for the Jets. I think he does move the needle for the Chiefs. There are running backs in the second round that, again, like I'm saying, and there's a point too when you're talking about buying wins, you need to buy sacks as well. And the Chiefs, I mean, they need to buy a guy that can get you 10 to 12 sacks a year. Well, that's probably going to cost you $25 to $30 million in free agency. It costs you a fraction of that if you hit the right player in the first round and the top 12 picks. I mean, and granted, pass rushers are not, there's more. I would agree that there's more likelihood of successfully drafting a running back early and having him hit than drafting a pass rusher and having him hit. But the payoff when you hit on that pass rusher is so much greater than with a running back. So that's the trade-off that you're going to make, Rick, and that's why, I mean, like I said, I mean, if the draft unfolds in the right way, and if you're the Chiefs, I mean, you're hoping that teams decide that a couple of these quarterbacks are worth taking. Maybe there's a wide receiver and a couple of safeties that sneak up there. Maybe there's some offensive tackles that sneak up there. And so that by the time the Chiefs come on the clock, then maybe only one or two pass rushers have gone off. I don't think that's going to happen. Or more likely, if they're drafting at 12, they're more likely to probably pick the 8th best pass rusher off the board than the 3rd, for sure. But you can cross your fingers and you can guess at where you think teams will go and how the draft will unfold. But it's those kind of decisions you have to make. But I would say that it's going to be cheaper and more affordable to buy those wins that we're talking about, to buy those yards of what you need out of a running back. It's more affordable to buy those than it is to buy sacks on the free agent market. And that's essentially what you're trying to do. I should try and see if maybe Nick wants to have this conversation. If not, maybe I need to make it like a Chiefs Digest thing. Maybe we need to moneyball the Chiefs at some point this offseason and see what we would do if we were Billy Beane running things. I know Billy Beane never won a World Series. So, Chris, are you disappointed with the lack of focus from Chris Jones late in close games this year? It's an interesting question, Chris, because I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit and say that I'm not sure it's totally a lack of focus from Chris. It might be even the opposite, that it might be Chris pressing a little bit. I mean, let's face it, Chris, what makes him a really good pass rusher and has always made him a really good defensive tackle, it's his jump, it's his quickness. Well, one of the things you're able to do that is that he does time things really, really well. And one thing that's always been true is that with Chris is that you're going to pay with that sometimes because he's going to jump early. He's going to move early. He's going to be lined up a little too far. And I mean, some of these issues this year, I mean, I think they're coaching. I mean, the fact that, you've got your guy lining up off sides in some key situations. I mean, sometimes you just got to make sure to tell your guy, hey, Chris, we know how you are. Line up 6 inches deeper than you normally would. Don't risk it. have somebody on that line making sure, and then, have a signal that you can signal to somebody to tell Chris to back up. But, with Chris jumping, I mean, it is kind of a little bit of the cost of doing business. That is what has made him a really, really good player over the years. So I think you're gonna live with a little bit of that. Has there I'm not. Maybe it is focus, and it could very well be. I mean, is it just age catching up with Chris? Is it an erosion of skill? I don't know. Is it a combination of all of the above? That would probably be the most likely combination. Um, I mean, is Chris's performance this year overall disappointing? Sure, because you're paying him a lot of money to produce more than he did this year, and he certainly didn't produce at a Chris Jones level. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Once again, it's not just one simple answer. I mean, and certainly part of it is just that Chris is getting older. I mean, he's stopped getting better, and now he's got to be smarter and all of these things. And all of that said, Chris Jones has still arguably been one of your best defenders and maybe your most impactful defender. So again, it's kind of one of those things that you have lived on the edge about with Chris Jones over the years, is his aggression. And was this 1 year of bad luck? Because there's no doubt this team had some bad karma this year. But I don't know. I'm not to the point where I'm going to be completely and totally like, hey, Chris Jones has just got a complete lack of focus. I think there's more. I think it's more nuanced than that, Chris. But does it need to get better, whatever the cause of it? Yeah. I mean, if he's not going to be as quick as he used to be, then he can't be costing the team with penalties. So that's something that's going to have to change a little bit. But again, it's tough to take the aggression out of a player who lives on aggression, whose success has come that way, and try to change them. So I think it's a really difficult scenario. And like I said, I mean, it is one of the costs of doing business when you have players like that. So I think we've got we got 2 super chats there. Gosh, I'm DeBrown. I swear I did not even see this one pop up until Dog Petters came up. What recording devices do you use during game interviews? You a cell phone guy or a real camera and mic guy? Great question. I've never been asked this before, but I'm glad to share it. I've done different things over the years. Most of my career, I've used cell phone. I've got a tripod that I can put my cell phone on. I've used the selfie stick in the past, not for shooting myself, but for just shooting in the locker room when you need to sometimes, have you can take advantage of your height in your arms. That I can be on the back row of the scrum and, be able to use a selfie stick to point my camera in the right place to get the right video. These days, what I do for my video work, I have one of those Osmo Pocket 3s, which is fantastic. Absolutely incredible. It shoots great video. I can use it on a tripod or on my handheld. It's got a really good wireless mic. So I can, if you see my videos that I shoot at press conferences this season, I've been using the Osmo. I put the wireless mic on the podium. It does a really good job of picking up questions too, for the most part. So I know that's one thing that people have liked, is that sometimes the questions on my videos are a little bit easier to pick up, even though the Chiefs, for instance, on their official videos, they have overhead mics, for the media, and they try to pump up the volume on those a little bit. For whatever reason, the Osmo mic just seems to really pick up the rest of the room really good. So that's worked out pretty well for me. Post game, I take the Osmo into the locker room, and I don't do post game video from podiums very often. If I do, it's because I'm in the room and I have my Osmo and I'm shooting it from just in the crowd, from the seats in the press room at Arrowhead. But I take my Osmo in and do that. It's not like I have a super zoom or anything like that, but it shoots in 4K, and so it's really good quality. So I'm going to be using that more and more going forward. It's just really, really helpful. But yeah, I mean, anymore, I guess you call it a real camera, because it's a camera. It's not a phone. But I have obviously used my phone to great success over the years as well. I do use my phone for video for practice videos because the Osmo does not have a very good zoom. It only has a 4x zoom, so it's really just useful for shooting up close and personal. Not good for shooting football action from 120 yards away. So the iPhone 15 does a really good job there. So right tool for the right job. I'm the Brown. Appreciate that. That was a fun question. And Dog Petter, do you think the Lions Montgomery is an option at running back? And I'm trying to remember. I'm assuming he's definitely a free agent. I mean, that sounds absolutely right, and has been a really good player. Looking at his contract situation, and again, I mean, I can't imagine that no, he's signed up. He's signed through 27. I mean, so unless the Lions were to put him on the market, which is entirely possible. I mean, now the drawback with David Montgomery is he's going to be 29 next year, which is a concern for me. And the Lions would have to absolutely eat a lot of that contract because it's still fairly recent. He just signed a 2-year extension on it. Looks like last year. So they would have to eat some dead money in that contract. Right now, looks like going forward, it's not that bad. Looking to see about if there's some guarantees that. Yeah, he's got a roster bonus. That's only $1 million. That's not too bad. Let's see. I'm not sure if that's completely calculated in. Yeah, it looks like he had more salary that became. I don't think that is complete. Well, it could be. He has some salary that was guaranteed for 2026. Yep, that's correct. That has not been kicked in. So yeah, I mean the Lions would have to eat a little bit of money. I don't know if they would be willing to do that. Maybe they would, but if they are, then you're going to be paying a little bit more for that. What would Montgomery? What would he? What would be the cost of getting him? I mean, running back values are hard to judge. I would think at least a second would probably be required to get him. And that would. I mean, I honestly, that could be potentially good value. But again, the fact that he's 29 worries me a little bit. There's some concerns, but that would be about the only way you could get. I mean, that would be the only way to get him would be through a trade, since he is hooked up with the Lions, unless they release him. And again, I mean, it's not a huge cap number, and he does have more salary that becomes guaranteed on the third league day of 26. So. Could he be a cap casualty for the Lions before then? If that's the case and he becomes a free agent, then yeah, I mean, I think he could potentially, be a target for the Chiefs. But again, remember, the Chiefs are going to be wanting this offseason to get younger, faster, and more affordable. And they would like I said, to tick 2 of those boxes. So a 29-year-old running back probably only ticks 1 of those boxes. Alex, do you think if Hill gets cut, Mahomes will tell the Chiefs he wants him back? He might suggest it, I'm never going to say never, especially after Kareem Khan came back to the Chiefs. I'm definitely never saying never. But I would be stunned at how bad that injury was that Tyreek had, and at the age that he's at. I can't imagine him coming back and being any resemblance anywhere close to himself in 26. I mean, I would be stunned if he is. And there's so many red flags on Tyreek there that I'm not even getting into the off the field personal stuff, which there are still red flags that Tyreek brings into the equation. Bless his heart. But age, injury, severity, I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, to me, only way I would be bringing back Tyreek Hill in 26 is on a 1-year prove it deal. And I don't think that's what Tyreek would want. So I can't imagine it working out. And I think there would probably also, just like Kareem, I think there would probably have to be a sit down between a lot of people on that one to put some bad feelings behind, because I'll tell you this. I know, and there's not much hyperbole here. There might be a little bit of hyperbole here, but not much. But I'll tell you, I know that there are people in this organization that probably never had a completely good night's sleep when Tyreek Hill was on their roster, who have had nights that they have slept like a baby since then. Because that's what Tyreek will do to you. And I say that as someone that I think Tyreek is one of the best football players that I have ever seen play. He is probably, to me, arguably the best receiver I've ever seen play in person live in my life. I mean, that dude can do things that, well, he could do things that were just absolutely amazing. I don't know if he's going to be that same guy after the injury, and I don't want to be the one that pays him and finds out. So I'd probably say if Pat said he wants Ty back, I'd say like, well, Pat, we can make it work a couple of ways. One, call up Tyreek, and you're gonna be in charge of him. You're gonna be his governor. And two, that $75 million cap hit you have next year. Well, we're gonna need a little bit of that money to give to him. So whatever we're paying him is gonna come out of your check. I think that's what I would say, but your mileage may vary. And no, that Chiefs would probably never say that to Patrick, because for the most part, I think with Patrick, you'd probably say, well, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. Weston and Rick arguing over first round running back draft picks. See, this is what we do here. We have substantive discussions. Steven, what would the funniest playoff outcomes? Sky and DeMarcus getting another ring, Darnold getting a ring before Allen, Green Bay winning. Also, Darian Kennard being a 4-time champ. Man, that's a great point. Darian Kennard stacking rings is really cool. I mean, he's gonna catch up with Brendan Daly here pretty soon. And I mean, I would love for any and all of those guys to get another ring or get more rings, get their first ring. I do feel like that this playoff is just clearing out the way for Josh Allen, but the Bills are going to have to get their act together. Rick, Matt, if they don't take Love out of Notre Dame in the first round, I'm going to start sucralose again. That's your prerogative. I mean, Rick, totally up to you, but don't freak out yet. It's 4 months away. A lot of things can change between now and then. Tyler, once the season ends on Sunday, how many days do you expect it to take before the announcement on if Nagy is coming back or not? It could be a little while, Tyler. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we got a resolution pretty quickly. It also wouldn't surprise me if it drags out a little bit, because, whether Matt's coming back is going to be impacted by two factors. One's going to be if he gets a head coaching job. And if he is the guy that Tennessee wants, and there's going to be some more jobs opening up, obviously, after the season. But I mean, there's not going to be anything standing in his way this year of getting a head coaching job and making a team wait. So he's going to be available immediately. So one would be if he gets a head coaching job immediately. The other factor is that, I mean, I don't think that news about Matt Nagy's contract and being up and expiring after the season, it wasn't leaked on accident. I mean, it was certainly, it's highly suggestive that leak was made to make it clear that if Matt Nagy leaves for another offensive coordinator job, that it was his choice, that he's not being fired, he's not being pushed out the back door, that it's his choice. And I can see that. Because again, Matt Nagy has learned this year that if you're offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's pretty cool most of the time, especially when you have the number one offense in the league and when it makes the Chicago Bears want to hire you. But the splashback of it is that you take a lot of the blame that you have no control over. I mean, this is Andy Reid's offense. Matt Nagy is a crucial advisor. I mean, I don't think there's anything doubt about that. He has got an important voice in that offense. But it's Andy Reid's offense, and it's a little crazy. I know that Andy Reid's taken more heat this year than he usually has, but it's always amazed me that how many people blame the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. There's nothing to blame the offensive coordinator on. I mean, unless you have a story out there and evidence that Matt Nagy went out and, like, I don't know, set fire to the playbook or took a leak on the field. I don't know. I mean, unless there's something like that out there, everything on this offense starts and ends with Andy Reid. So any accountability is there. So, I mean, I know a couple of you in the comments talking about, fire Matt Nagy. Could someone else coming in give you a different perspective as the offensive coordinator and maybe help? Couldn't hurt. I mean, sure, it's a possibility. But as far as the blame goes, I mean, there's literally nothing. I mean, this is like, I'm trying to come up with a good example. I mean, my brain is unable to come up with a great, funny example that I wanted to come up with of just blaming the wrong person. It's like Matt Nagy's got nothing. There's literally nothing he can do. There's nothing that he's ultimately responsible for that is visible that you can say, hey, yeah, you know what, Matt Nagy fell down there. Anything on that offense that you don't like 100% or that you do love, 100% of the credit and 100% of the blame rests with Andy Reid. I mean, and that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is that in both when it's successful and when it's not, that there's plenty of credit and blame to go around in both cases. But ultimately, I mean, if you don't like what you see on the field, blame Andy Reid. And that's what, Matt Nagy, if he leaves, is going to try and do. I mean, he's going to try and he would be trying to go to another offense that he can put his stamp on and prove what he can do and stand outside Andy Reid's shadow. And sometimes you got to do that. So I don't think it would be a bad thing for Matt if he does that. I think it would probably be a good career move for him to do that right now. And we'll see what happens. But I think to your point about, how long will the resolution take? If he gets another job quickly, then boom, it's done. If the offer doesn't come out, I mean, it's entirely possible that he's not back here this year and he doesn't get a job elsewhere. I mean, that's there is a scenario where that happens. If his contract runs out and he's still looking for jobs and the Chiefs say, hey, you know what? We really want Mike Kafka here or somebody else, or Cliff Kingsbury all of a sudden is available and Pat wants him, then maybe that's what you do. So, I mean, anything and everything's on the table, Tyler. Luttrell and Rick, thank you for those notes to Nick. I will make sure that he hears about that and that all of you were thinking of him tonight. Any insight to the situation after the game when the prime camera crew was stopped from going down the tunnel? Honestly, Luttrell, if anything, I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more. There have been any number of times over the years where camera crews or reporters have wandered into places that are restricted and or the Chiefs just didn't want them there. And there have been reporters that I think have probably suffered the consequences of sometimes being in the wrong place at the wrong time, whether it was for the team's purpose or the NFL's purpose or someone else. I mean, I don't want to get into the personal aspects of it because I do know both of the Chiefs employees who were involved in that video. I want to try and be objective. I have nothing bad to say about either one of them. I think that they were both doing their job as they were instructed to do. I don't even know if they were in the wrong place, where they weren't supposed to be. It's entirely possible. I mean, I will say, we don't normally get camera views there, so I imagine that the Amazon crew was just being a little aggressive. And I can tell you from people I have talked to and things that I have seen at Amazon games over the last few years, the Amazon crews, they try to be, and Amazon's, they're new to this whole thing. So they're trying to push the envelope. They're trying to push the edge. And they have frequently either done things that they shouldn't or just not understood things. I've seen things go wrong with Amazon coverage at Arrowhead that other networks don't have those problems. So a little bit of it is just, growing pains and learning experience and everything of being a new NFL broadcaster. And like I said, trying to be edgy and trying to do things outside the box. So they are probably pushing their people and hiring people that they will think will try and get you things that you haven't seen before. But sometimes there's things you haven't seen before because the NFL doesn't want you to see them. And as much money as you pay, the NFL doesn't care because your check is already cashed and they're going to tell you what they want out there and what they don't want out there. So that's about the best way I think I can put it. Because, like I said, I have no reason to believe that those two employees were not doing their job. I think they absolutely were doing what they were told to. I would have every reason to believe that the cameras were probably not supposed to be there. So they were once again enforcing what they were supposed to enforce. It's just, I mean, it's kind of funny, but I feel bad for them both that they are getting all this attention. So I don't feel good for anybody in those spots that just tries to do their job and kind of gets dragged into things. But I know that if you work for this team, eventually it's going to happen because you are in the spotlight. And I think everybody there does a pretty good job of brushing it off as well. They should. So JK Bliss, Happy New Year, Matt. Happy New Year to you as well. We appreciate you and the hours and hours you give to this. Weeks ago, you suggested that the players only meeting might be in order. And you cut off the, there's the rest of the question. Any sense of the cause of the mood funk this year? And I may have said it, JK Bliss. I don't specifically remember saying it or why I said it. I'm not disputing that I did. So you probably heard it correctly. I'm trying to think now about, why I might have been thinking that at the time and saying it. Other than, I don't think that there's any doubt that it's been an odd year from the very beginning. And I heard a conversation, and again, I almost think that I could do a whole show, a podcast on this, is when did things go wrong for this team? And I'll be honest, I feel like what started going wrong for this team was it the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I mean, I think the seeds were planted right then and there. Not just that, this team had its collective confidence challenged a little bit, but that two full coordinators who are really good at their job, but put on a display of taking apart the Chiefs. And, Vic Fangio defensively put on a clinic about how to dismantle the Chiefs offense. And I will always remember it. Nick and I were doing a podcast, and so I was in the business center of the low rate motel, technically a hotel, that I was staying at in New Orleans. And we were just talking about the fact that after that game and what happened, if you're the Chiefs, 2025 can't be business as usual. You can't do the same things that you've been doing because teams have been picking up on your predictability on offense. And not only just do you need to refresh things, you need to refresh your blocking schemes. You need to, not necessarily recreate the wheel, but you have to rebuild elements of this offense because it has become predictable. It's become something that teams know what's coming. And we've seen that plenty of times this year as evidence that this team just has some tells, and some of it's because they've been running the same concepts for 5, 10, 12, 13 years. And, you need to change things up, and they didn't do that. And then, you throw all these other things into it. I think that this team has been tired and exhausted since week 1, and Brazil didn't help. Nothing else helped. The schedule didn't help. The fact that it's just been multiple years of this going on didn't help. And I don't think there's any doubt. This team, it threw everything into the three-peat last year. It threw every bit of emotion, energy, everything that it had. In retrospect, I guess that my only surprise should be that we all didn't see it coming, that this was going to be maybe a tough year like this. But again, it wasn't like they were consistently getting blown out. They were just losing a lot of close games that they usually win. So I still don't know what to make of it other than, I do think that this team has just been a tired team all year round. And sometimes when they needed that extra gear, it just wasn't there this year. And fatigue was probably a part of it. There's probably a lot of other reasons too. Like I say, it's not always one thing. But I'm trying, if there was anything, I will say that I think this team, I don't know. I should probably take some time to think about how I want to kind of describe this and maybe even just digest the entire season, because I mean, I've been covering this team for, that's what, my 10th season covering this team. And I mean, I've seen some good Chiefs teams that had bad chemistry, but they just had some guys in the locker room that the locker room was sometimes divided over, and some players and some teammates that people were divided over, and not everybody was, pulling on the same oar. This team's not that, but does it have I feel like necessarily the same mojo that they've had in recent years? I'm not sure that it did, and I can't necessarily quite place a finger on it, but there's just been things about this year's team that just feels like it just doesn't have the same karma, for lack of a better word. And like I said, I probably need more time to digest this season and take a step back and not say anything off the cuff that I don't mean to say, because I'm not saying this about any particular player or any coach or anything like that. I mean, and like I said, maybe it was just the weight and the fatigue of everything that this team's gone through in the last few years, and the drain of three-peating that just took its toll. So I'll give that some thought, J.K. Bliss. Feel free to bring it up again in the offseason on another discussion, and maybe I'll have a more cogent answer the next time. Jason, Chiefs have 5 picks, trade down for more picks, and trade McDuffie for something of value. You seem way too optimistic for next year. I mean, that is one of the things you're going to have to do. I mean, I still... And maybe I'm drinking some of the Kool-Aid from people that I talk to in the organization, but I also look at this and I see this team can't be a complete and total, just utter collapse of what they've been doing in the last few years. This is an outlier year for a lot of reasons. I mean, this team, even if you look, I mean, even like numbers, Aaron Schatz has got his DVOA, and those numbers will tell you that this is the second best team that's been 6-10 in the last 45, 50 years. So, I mean, that tells you something, that this is just a weird year and that this is not typical of this team. So, and no, I don't think that this team needs to be completely rebuilt. And like I said, yes, if any year that you've got Patrick Mahomes and you win 10 games, you have a chance to win a Super Bowl, because that dude can drag you all the way to a Super Bowl. That's the kind of dude he is. There's not many of those dudes. There might not be actually any of those dudes in the NFL, because Patrick may have, I mean, if you look at the last few games, I mean, you could certainly make the argument that Patrick Mahomes was the NFL MVP. He's that good. I mean, once again, only slightly being hyperbolic here. I mean, I'll be honest, Jason, I don't think that this team is that far away from where it wants to be. Getting Mahomes healthy again and back is the biggest challenge for 2026 to me. And yes, you need some improvement in some key places, and it might not be possible to fix all of those problems in 1 year. But again, I don't feel like this team, I'm not saying that it's a 15-2 team like it was last year. I don't think last year's team was 15-2. I think last year's team was, I mean, I've been saying, I think that, this team has generally been a 13-4 team that's had some good luck and it's had some bad luck. Maybe that's generous. Maybe it has been a 11-6 team that has had some good luck and had some bad luck. And again, 11-6 is going to get you in the playoffs every single year. And with Patrick Mahomes, that's a chance to win it. If you ask me right now to predict whether the Chiefs are going to win 6 games or 11 games next year, I would pick 11 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, I don't think they're this team. I mean, I think they're going to be a different team next year. MDWR, just want to say thank you. I appreciate that. They're very, very kind of you. I like to, once again, I always fall for it when you put the question marks in there, even though I appreciate the comment, MDR. It was very kind of you. And I do want to emphasize again that I'm always appreciative of everybody that comes and watches these, whether you're watching here for the live stream or you watch later or you listen to 41 is the mic. Truly appreciate it. Read me over at Chiefs Digest when I actually am writing, which I'm going to be New Year's resolution, doing more of that in 2026. But always appreciate the kind words. I don't mean to just keep bringing up the compliments, but you put question marks in it, I'm going to bring it up because I think it's a question. Oh, Dom, why do you allow Seren to slap you around on the radio, Matt? Well, Seren was on vacation this week, so you didn't get that. I mean, I think that Seren and I have some productive debates, and I'm fine with the audience drawing their own conclusions. I am certain that Seren and I will have some discussions that there's going to be times that the majority agree with Seren. I would imagine there's going to be times that the majority agrees with me. Maybe there's time that we're both right and we're both wrong. Who knows? I'm a guest, so I'm typically going to be differential to the guest. I'm not gonna, throw too much of a hissy fit or a rant in somebody else's house and somebody else's air. So I'm always going to try and be graceful and cordial from that. And I know Seren could be very forceful too. So I'm not going to go in somebody's house and just, tell them they're wrong. I will try and let all of you be the judge. But I will say I absolutely value the discussions that I have with Seren. I think that they help me, focus some of my thoughts and some of my opinions, because he will challenge me on some things. There's things that hopefully I challenge him on. I think he's great at what he does. And so and getting to see it, and how he works and everything like that has been a lot of fun this year. I've been around Seren for many, many years, but never got to work with him this closely. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I've got to learn, and I think he's just really, really good at what he does. And it helps me be better at what I do. So I got no problem with that. Seren is great. And like I said, if our fights and our arguments on air educate the viewer and the listener, and I'll let you draw your own conclusions about who was right and who was wrong. Neo-Thomas. So from someone who is very close to the team compared to all of us, do you think the offense needs new blood regarding concepts and identity? I think the results on the field probably say that, Neo-Thomas. And again, I don't take any glee in it, because these are tough things to talk about. these are people's livelihoods and everything. I've discussed this before. This is my least favorite time of the year. I have everything about the NFL that I don't like are things like this. My least favorite day of the NFL year is the roster cutdown day, because there's going to be people that I have worked with and known that are getting told that they're never going to play football again. And that totally sucks. I hate, end of the season when coaching staffs change, when people get, let go, and all of these things, or contracts not renewed, any of these things, because like I say, we see it as terms of what's happening on the field. For so many of these people, it means, hey, somebody's got to take their kids out of school and move across the country now. These things stink. So I don't take any of them lightly. And I actually appreciate the fact that Andy Reid is as loyal as he is, and he tries to find solutions. And especially if there's people that he thinks are good coaches, that he tries to keep them around. Connor Embry, I know, has drawn a lot of heat. I see Connor Embry and see what the other coaches and some of the players and what respect that they do have for him. I see the work that he puts in and the successes that he has had, and and I think he's had a really tough position. Is it a better role for him? Joe Blameyer, was wide receivers coach at one time, and now he's like pass game coordinator. Is there a better position to keep a young coach like Connor Embry? Maybe he's better suited for other jobs than to being a strictly a position coach. Find those roles, especially if it's a good young coach that you like. Todd Pinkston could be a great coach. I've never entirely understood why he was running backs coach, since he never played running back. Maybe he's helped out this team. Was it to help these guys better receivers, route runners? I'm not sure. I don't know what. We never really gotten a good explanation for that. Would moving Connor Embry from wide receivers to another role and moving Todd Pinkston to wide receivers make you a better team? Very well could. And there's no doubt. I think that the Chiefs need probably an upgrade, a different voice at running back. They probably need a different voice at receiver. Doesn't mean that they have to let people go. Then maybe they just need to shuffle the deck a little bit. I'll be very blunt. Nick and I have both been very blunt on this one, that offensively, I don't think that the offensive line has produced equal to the sum of its parts, even and you need to be greater than the sum of your parts in an offensive line. That hasn't happened in the last few years. So yeah, I mean, and the fact that a lot of the concepts that I'm talking about that, you know, have become stale are a little bit of the blocking concepts. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that what they try to do schematically best fits the talent that they have. And it's pretty evident, I think, that they do have some talent there. So, I mean, I think you have to shuffle some things. I mean, I said at the beginning of the season, I was asked for, you know, one of the preseason publications for the preview of the year. We were asked to do every year. We're asked for who's on our hot seat, and I said Andy Heck. That I think this offensive line has to be better this year, or you may need to go a different direction. I'm still there. I mean, I do think that the Chiefs offense, if they want to be better next year, they're going to have to go in a different direction. So we'll see what happens. Super chat from I'm the Brown to tack on the Neo Thomas because of the injury. PM15 will work more on pocket passing and less movement in the pocket. Something has to give. You're absolutely right there, I'm the Brown, in that historically, you know, players after an ACL, and I said specifically should say quarterbacks after an ACL, I mean, they don't have the mobility that they once had. They definitely miss that. They don't have it anymore. And I know from talking to some athletic trainers that, you know, there's legitimate concern that, you know, that Patrick's probably going to have to wear a brace on that knee for the rest of his career. And as a result, that's going to affect his mobility as well, and that he will probably have to be a little bit more of a pocket passer. There's probably fair to ask whether or not he's going to have the stability to make some of the off-platform throws that he does and has made over the years. I mean, he's probably going to have to change his game a little bit. We'll see what happens, but I think it's entirely possible, Andrew Brown, that like you said, that when we next see Patrick Mahomes on the field, that he's a different quarterback. I don't think he's going to turn into, you know, Dan Marino all of a sudden, you know, at the end of his career when Dan, bless his heart, I mean, you know, couldn't scramble to save his life and was a statue back there. Still a really good quarterback despite that. But, you know, I mean, maybe he's going to end up being more like Peyton Manning. He's probably not going to have the escapability that he once had. I mean, I think he's still going to surprise us with some of the things that he's going to be able to do, because the dude just on the football field, he's a survivor. So I think he can surprise some people and with what he's able to do. But I don't think there's any doubt there's going to be some concerns that he's going to have to be a different quarterback, and there's going to be some ways that he is probably going to have to change his game. So I don't think you're out of line there. I think you're absolutely right that when we next see Patrick on the field, that he is going to be a little bit different player than we have seen in the past. I was scrolling through here after the super chat, and I think I missed this question earlier from Arrowhead. Is it possible we see Dameon Pierce become the third down back and Kareem Hunt not return? We'll see. Arrowhead corner UK. It just the whilst was throwing me there. Is he very good at what he does? It's been reported that Veach would like to get younger all over. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any. I would not be stunned if Dameon Pierce actually played this weekend. I think that's entirely possible. Just to give him a look. Maybe it won't happen, but you know, Andy Reid last week kind of at least hinted at the possibility that he could play this week, and we will get a look at him. I think he's definitely kind of auditioning. And again, I'm not convinced that Dameon Pierce is the guy that can give you what I was talking about earlier. That he alone can be a 1,500 yard from scrimmage guy. Could he be one of the two? Maybe, but he's going to have a lot to prove, and there's going to be, I think it's going to be a competition, because I do think that the Chiefs will probably draft a running back next year, assuming that Brashard Smith is not what they think is part of the equation. If they don't move him to run, I mean, I think I've talked about this. You know, I've been kind of going. I'll probably do a story on this, breaking down kind of what the comps are and what we've seen so far, and what you can hope that maybe some of these rookies have been now that we've got to know them for a year. I mean, Brashard Smith at this point, the comp for me is probably Dexter McCluster, and I don't think that's bad. I mean, Dexter was a pretty good player. It's just, you know, he's a piece not necessarily the guy at that spot, and maybe he's better suited as a running back or a wide receiver who runs the ball on occasion rather than a running back who catches the ball on occasion. I don't know. We'll see what the Chiefs do with Brashard Smith in the offseason and for 2026. But if he's not part of the equation, Dameon Pierce will absolutely have an opportunity to compete for that. I am certain that the Chiefs will bring in multiple new faces. So a free agent, a draft pick, none of those things would surprise me as far as the Chiefs rebuilding their backfield for 26. Dom Brett had a terrible offseason last year. Why should we believe in him this offseason? Here's the thing. You go back and look. Yeah, you can say that Brett Veach had a terrible offseason, but two things are definitely true. One is that the Chiefs didn't really make a big free agent signing. Off the top of my head, my recollection is that their biggest free agent signing was Christian Fulton. 2 years, $20 million. Jalen Moore, I guess you could say, was the bigger free agent signing. That was their biggest free agent signing. And I think Jalen Moore was a hit. I don't think that was a bad deal. 2 years, $30 million. For what they needed, which was, a potential starting tackle who could then come in and be a swing tackle for you. He makes a little bit much for a swing tackle, but when you figure out that Jalen Moore is, for that money, looks like he's going to have given you swing tackle in 25 and right tackle starting in 26, I got no problems with that contract. But then after that, the Chiefs had no money. It was just the reality. They spent it all. And, and if you're going to talk about off season, they got Creed Humphrey done, got Trey Smith done. Trey Smith has a Pro Bowl season, Creed Humphrey Pro Bowl. Creed Humphrey's going to be all pro again. Maybe Trey Smith will be all pro this year. I don't know. I'm still not sure he's got the stature across the rest of the league to get there yet, but he's certainly in that conversation. So I think it comes down to, was Brett Veach, what did he get done with the resources that he had? I don't have a huge issue with what they did last year. Now, is there a reason why you could fault Brett Veach in that Brett Veach knew that this team had weaknesses and didn't address them? Yes. I don't think there's any doubt. I think Brett, in a moment of extreme honesty, would admit that he knew this team had weaknesses that he couldn't fix. And it wasn't for a lack of trying. It was just that he didn't have the resources to go out. He didn't have the resources to go out and sign a big name defensive tackle. He didn't have the resources to go out and, they brought back Charles Omenihu. They didn't really have the money to go out and afford anybody more expensive than Charles Omenihu, and that seemed like a safe bet. You can quibble over little things like, should they have signed Javonte Williams instead of Elijah Mitchell? Sure. But, then again, look at what Javonte Williams signed for and what Elijah Mitchell signed for. It's not too far off from being the same deal. Sometimes you win those moves and sometimes you don't. Maybe Javonte Williams didn't want to come to Kansas City. Who knows? But for, low salary deals like that, like I said, there's some you're going to win, some you're going to lose. I don't know that there was a whole lot more that he could have done to change 2026 because, and if you want to say, hey, should have made the trade for Breece Hall midseason, I'm not sure that was fixing what was going wrong in 2026. Maybe that was the one piece that would have changed everything, but I don't know. I'm not sold, but I still think that, hey, Brett Veach is still a really good general manager. I don't think he's ever gotten enough credit for the Super Bowls that they've won. I get it if you don't want to give him credit for Patrick Mahomes because he wasn't the general manager when they made those deals and got everything done. But, also, you have to say most of there's only like 3 guys left from the John Dorsey era. So you can't really be giving him a lot of credit. At some point, you got to give Brett Veach the credit. And I think both he and Andy Reid, both have earned their opportunities to have a 6-10, 6-11, 7-10 season, whatever this ends up being. And like I said, if I'm Clark Hunt, I look back and I can't explain this season. I can't explain the entire NFL season. There are so many things that have gone sideways this year that I just do not understand. Rick, if the Chiefs season in 26 is a repeat of 25, do they fire Andy Reid? I mean, if the Chiefs are 6-11, 7-10 in 26, it's probably a discussion. But again, it's going to be, how did they get there? Did they get there because Patrick Mahomes, didn't come back until December or at all? No, then I don't think that he does. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes is not part of this team next season because of the injury, or is not the same guy, I mean, I think if I'm Clark Hunt, I'm giving him quite a bit of leeway, because these guys have proven that they're really good at their jobs. So no, I don't have an itchy trigger finger on these guys. And I don't know. And I'm not criticizing here. I think everybody's allowed to their opinions. The only thing I will ever say is that my argument almost always, when you have a coach, a GM, anything like this, anything like that, is the level of success that these coaches and this general manager have had, the next coach and general manager is almost certain to be worse. There's almost no way. I mean, there's no way that the next coach of the Kansas City Chiefs is going to have the success that Andy Reid has had. I mean, it's just, odds are that it's not going to happen. So, do you give Andy Reid his leeway? Do you let him go out on his own terms? I mean, no, you're not going to let Andy Reid have 5 straight losing seasons. No, that's not going to happen. I think Andy Reid would walk away before that happened. But I don't know. I think there would have to be a lot of things go wrong in 26 for Andy Reid not to be able to kind of choose his own way out, or at least be able to go out on his own terms, or put it all back together. I mean, if Andy Reid wants to walk away, I mean, nobody's going to stop him, because he's earned it. He's earned the opportunity, the right to do whatever he wants to. The guy's a Hall of Fame coach. Oh, I would always regret firing a Hall of Fame coach, is all I'm going to say. I would rather fire a Hall of Fame coach a year or two too late than a year or two too early. So, I mean, I'll be honest, Dom. I mean, I'm pretty tough, so I don't feel abused. If it's not your cup of tea for radio, I completely understand. There are some people who, I mean, we had a discussion a couple of weeks ago, an argument a couple of weeks ago, and I had 2 people text me telling me that it was the best Kansas City radio they've heard in years. So, once again, I guess everybody varies, but Dom, I appreciate it. You don't have to worry about me, because I'm a big kid. I can handle Seren, so my feelings are not hurting whatsoever. So, Rick, I think I missed this one. Am I crazy, or should they call Jameis Winston? I mean, not the worst idea in the world. I imagine that they will look at a lot of different places for a quarterback, and obviously Gardner Minshew, Chris Odokin will probably be in the discussion. I mean, Odokin's got a pretty good tryout this week. I mean, I think it's a lot more fair of an audition this week than last week with one practice. So let's see what happens. But I think the Chiefs may consider any and all solutions when it comes to who's going to be their quarterbacks next year. And next year might be one of those years that they, carry 2 guys or 3 guys. If Patrick's ready to be on the roster at the beginning of the season, they might carry 2 backups on the 53. They might have to do that just to kind of ensure themselves. Brian, Matt, why the owners agreed to overseas games? Is that taking away from income from the stadium, vendor workers, etc.? Really do not care for overseas games. I mean, obviously the answer is more money. I mean, then the NFL is mostly concerned with more money for themselves. Right or wrong, it does affect some teams, because I guess at this point they've gotten to the point where, I'm trying to do my math here. I mean, you had 11 home games. Excuse me, you had 10 home games in the past with like a 16 game schedule. And so now there might be some years that you're going to have 9 potentially home games but I'm trying to remember for sure. Because I don't think they've made it to this point yet where I think you can only host a international game when you have 9 games, so you're not taking away. You're going to always have a minimum of home games, 8 home games, and then so you could, and you're gonna have a preseason game, so there's a ninth one there. Possibility that you could play a road international game as a road team, and you don't have to necessarily be having a 9 road games that year. I mean, there's some weird things with the way that they try to work it out. I mean, yeah, no, it sucks that that there are stadium workers that have fewer games that they work now than they used to. I mean, that does stink. I don't think there's any way about that. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the owners are only really truly concerned about their own income streams, and that's why they're playing overseas, because they want to build the brand and build the audience. And the Chiefs will tell you that playing overseas has certainly helped their bottom line across the board. They have obviously grown their audience greatly, and they're selling gear in countries that teams that fans there did not previously even know who they were. So they're taking advantage of that and doing their best. But yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it probably does affect the stadium workers and people who do those jobs. And there's not the people that work at the stadium and all the different jobs. There are so many incredible ones that are just absolutely the kindest, sweetest people that you work with on a weekly basis. And I'm an introvert of the extreme, but there are people that work at the stadium for games that have become close friends of mine over the years. So they all mean a lot. And I keep meeting new ones every year. This year I met Kim. I don't normally go, and over the years I've not gone down to the tunnel where the players come in for a pregame. I had never gone down there before until last year, when I figured I had to get my Taylor Swift observation and experience in, and did that last year. And this year I did it a lot more because I had a little bit more free time before games, and went down there. And I met Kim, who works the door at the cheerleaders locker room. Just the sweetest person. And she's like, she's like, I've never seen you down here before. And she's like, how long you been covering the team? I'm like, well, 10 years. And she's like, yeah, I've been working down here the entire time. I never see you. So now I have a new friend down there. Discovered from finally going down and spending more time in the tunnel and everything like this, that a friend of mine, Noah, from high school, that we went to high school together, he's been working at the stadium for years too, and I hadn't seen him because I didn't go down to the tunnel. So yeah, I'm an introvert that needs to get out more, I think, is what we've learned here. And then Brian, do you bring in Philip Rivers if available? I mean, actually, I think that would be really, really cool, because I know people have their own feelings about Philip, but he's been a lot of fun to cover. I mean, when we guys used to get to do interviews with opposing team quarterbacks, Rivers was one of the best. So I would imagine he's probably doesn't have much of an interest in doing more than what he did this year, just coming in at the end of a season, because he's got that large family and all those kids and everything. I figure he wants to enjoy it, and with the money, but he obviously looks like he had some fun coming in here at the end just to play some games. So let's see, Brian, and what's your thoughts on how the Chiefs trade up in the draft? Ooh, good question, because that one has not come up with anybody I've talked to yet, and I figured it was going to at some point, and we'll get into it over the next few months and everything. But it's obviously a possibility. So how did the Chiefs do it? I mean, it's not obviously as costly to move from. I mean, if the Chiefs end up in the top 10, moving up a couple of spots, not as costly as going from 27 to 10. So I still think that just because of what the Chiefs' needs are, what they have, I think that this is more of a trade down situation than a trade up. But here's another part of it too, is that I'm just not entirely sure that there's anybody in the top 10 that's going to be worth trading up for. I mean, I'm not overly enamored with what I've seen so far from this draft class. I mean, I could be surprised. Maybe we're going to get into the combine, and we're going to get into everything and look at some of these players, and there's going to be some guys that really pop up and surprise me. But I just see a lot of players for whom there's just not a lot of that. Maybe the most talented players don't have a lot of production, and the players with the most production don't seem to have the skill sets. So maybe I'll feel differently over the next few months of looking at some players and everything. There's going to be some people that surprise you and everything. But right now, I'm not overly enamored with this draft class. So trading down and picking up more picks is probably going to be more interesting than me than giving up what little draft capital the Chiefs have. And I think they're probably going to be happy if they stand pat, but I could also see them trying to trade back, and because they need more capital, not just for this year, but for next year too. Chris, who is Big Dom from the Eagles for KC? I mean, you could probably say there's a couple. Schaefer, who was the one that was on the video the other day, is like I think his official title. I think he may be like head of security. He'd be somebody in that role. There's a couple of others. I probably shouldn't name them much more than that. It'd probably be kind of inappropriate, with security. Big Dom is probably kind of his own figure and everything. So I don't want to isolate the security people. I think that might be a little bit too. Nah, I just not sure it's appropriate for me to say and everything. So I probably said more than I should have anyway. But I don't think there's not a whole lot of big Doms around the league. There's probably most places it's 2 or 3 people that are big Dom, and nobody is the character that Dom is for the Eagles. That's for sure. Hamilton, if Nagy leaves, do you anticipate Kafka becomes the replacement? If he doesn't get a head coaching job, yeah, I think he would absolutely be a candidate. Probably be a number of candidates. There might be some internal candidates too. We'll see. But yeah, if Nagy leaves, I think Kafka, absolutely. He was well liked and respected in Kansas City, and by all accounts, Andy Reid's a big fan of his. So yeah, I think there's a definite possibility he could. Rick, I do not know how much red dye that there is in the fruit punch. I'm sure it's significant, and you know what? At this point, I'm just going to take my losses. There's something bad in everything that helps me feel better. So if it helps me feel better when I'm sick, I'm going to live with it. Maybe it's the red dye that makes me feel better. Who knows? A1 Buds, Kafka was the passing game coordinator. How much of an impact did he have with the passing game? Would he bring more than Nagy? And and these kind of things, I don't read too much into job titles. A lot of times job titles are they're, I'm not going to say made up. That's not exactly the right word. Sometimes they're massaged just to line up, coaching staffs and give people, pay bumps or the appropriate pay for what they do. Sometimes their job titles have nothing to do with what they do. When Kafka was here, there was a couple of things. I mean, one, like and I don't think it was his first year. It was Mahomes' first year, though. But Mike Kafka, and I'm trying to remember what his job title was. It could have been assistant quarterbacks coach. It might have even been something like offensive assistant or something. He was basically Mahomes duty. He just was at the hip of Patrick Mahomes the entire year. And that's why one of the many things that Andy Reid did with Patrick Mahomes and managed him as a rookie that I'm stunned that other NFL teams just don't seem to do is to get somebody like Mike Kafka, get somebody who has some experience in the league, who was a quarterback, all of these things, connected with your head coach in some way. So there's, understanding of the offense, who can answer questions and be your Sherpa, as Nick would say. Mike Kafka was Patrick Mahomes' Sherpa. And that's another reason why I think he would be a strong candidate in Kansas City, because Mahomes is a fan of his too. But Mike Kafka was attached to the hip to Patrick Mahomes his rookie season, all year long. I mean, on the sidelines, on the bench, everywhere. I mean, Mike Kafka was just there. I mean, it was almost just like having his own quarterbacks coach, just to help him get acclimated to the league and understand everything. I mean, the support structure that they put around Mahomes as a rookie and year one as a starter was amazing. And it's what I think every NFL team should do. But every NFL team should have a Mike Kafka for their rookie quarterbacks and their inexperienced quarterbacks. Is just some guy that basically falls around all season and helps them. And, and is kind of, like I said, is their Sherpa. That's what Mike Kafka was. As much as, we talk about Alex Smith getting a lot of credit for helping Patrick Mahomes develop, I think Mike Kafka probably deserves more credit than he's ever gotten. Brian, happy. I was trying to get her to click on it so we could all wish everybody a happy New Year's. And then I accidentally scrolled and missed it completely. Oh gosh. Once again, I'm rambling too much. Oh gosh, where were you, Brian? Oh, there's your overseas. We were talking about the overseas. See, I was doing so well earlier, and then I jinxed myself. This was eventually going to be what brought me down. There you go, Brian. Thank you. Happy New Year, Matt and Chiefs Kingdom. Happy New Year to all of you as well. I appreciate you joining us. Last call, because we are almost close to the questions, and I am overdue to get out of here. Any number of people who are going to be mad at me for talking too long. Do you take away Andy calling the play calling? Nah, let Andy Reid do what he wants to do. If he wants to hand over and remember, I mean, by and large, Andy Reid does not call the plays these days. I mean, it's this year. My understanding is that it works the way it has normally worked the last few years, which is that Matt Nagy calls the plays. If Andy Reid has a problem with whatever's been called, he can overrule it, which I doubt happens very often. But again, as we talked about, and we discussed this periodically, in the NFL, you know what you're going to run on game day on almost every situation, because you've talked about it and exhausted it all week long. You've discussed it during practices. It's been built into the game plan. Then you meet on Friday and Saturday to go over everything, and you go over with your quarterback what they want in specific situations, to the point that, you know, you've got your opening script, so you know what you're going to be doing in first and second down in almost every situation. You've got a handful of third down plays, third and medium, third and short, third and long. You know what you're going to call in those situations, and you know what the play is going to be based on hash mark, position on the field, time, all of these things. I mean, there are very few extemporaneous moments. I mean, Wasp might be one of the best of all times. That was a fairly extemporaneous moment. I don't even think that, if I remember correctly, I'm not even sure that was on the play sheet that week, but it was something that they had in the game plan all the time. They worked on it. They knew it. So, you know, Mahomes says he wants it, so they decide to do it. There are very few extemporaneous moments in an NFL game plan. Almost everything has been decided ahead of time. So the idea that you're just going to throw a curveball, I mean, even your curveballs, you've chosen when you're going to throw them, and you kind of have in your mind, hey, if we're going to call a trick play, we're going to do anything crazy, this is the situation that it's going to be in. So there's not a whole lot of just flying by the seat of your pants. I mean, teams generally know what they are going to do and don't deviate from it most part for offensive game plans. I mean, they might change it up a little bit if something that they're doing is not working that day. And so maybe they throw some things out and emphasize some other concepts, but you'd be surprised just how much of that's planned out in advance, and that you're able to do that so that you are able to go into a game where, Matt Nagy knows exactly what you're going to call in every single situation. Your quarterback knows what you're going to call in those situations. Your players know what you're going to call. No, I mean, Matt Nagy cannot be called a water boy. I mean, calling the plays, like we talked about, I mean, calling the plays on game day, I mean, I'm trying to think of a good, I mean, if you ever been a play, I mean, it's excuse me. I'm trying to think of a good, just everyday work example. I mean, calling the plays on game day is probably the most overrated job in the NFL and responsibility. Because again, like I talked about, I mean, you know what you're going to call in all of these situations. So what Matt Nagy's job during the week is to help them make sure that they get everything right. I mean, his job is to organize everything. So, he does everything. I mean, you'll see Matt Nagy, I mean, he is communicating with the guys on offense. He's working with Patrick, talking with him, what he likes, what he doesn't like, when they make mistakes, fixing them. All of these things are part of what an offensive coordinator can do. And it's average coach's job. I mean, it's just that the offensive coordinator is the one that organizes it and is in charge of a lot of things. So I'm not doing a great job of explaining it and making it understandable, I guess. But I mean, there are so many duties that offensive coordinator or head coach has. There is just, I mean, calling plays is just basically reading plays off a call sheet. That is all it is. And it's all plays that you've discussed during the week and you figured out what you're going to call in every single situation. Like I said, I mean, the Chiefs know if they've got a third down on the right hash, midfield, 4 minutes to go in the game, this is what they're going to call. Everybody knows that. So there's no surprises. Like I said, if there's an extemporaneous moment in an offensive play call from an NFL game, it's extraordinary. It just doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, what do offensive coordinators do and head coaches do? I mean, they coach football. I mean, that's literally what it's about. It's about finding the right plays during the week. It's about making the players sure that they execute them correctly. It's about, correcting flaws. It's about watching film and figuring out the weaknesses that other teams have so you can build the game plan in the first place. What I would love to do, and I would love to be able to do this. I need to find someone who would do this. Is we need to do like an off season. I'm going to write this down. We need to find in the off season and get I need to find an offensive coordinator who'll do it. Be wonderful. Oh man, if I could get like, I don't know what Brad Childress is up to these days. He's the guy I would love to get him or somebody else. I mean, somebody who's been a coordinator for Andy Reid would be fantastic to just come in and kind of explain how it works. Because I'm not on the field. I can only kind of explain what I've watched and what I've seen and what people explain to me. But having an offensive coordinator explain it for all of us, I think would be invaluable. So that's going on the list after BJ Thompson and emojis. So if there's anything else on the list, throw it in the comments. And hey, if it's a good idea, I'm putting it on there. Luttrell, I would greatly enjoy doing a Landman recap with Nick each week. I think that also would be fantastic, and I would certainly sign up for that. I would listen to it even if I recorded it. So I'm definitely all down with that one. Let's see. A1 Buds, if it's looking like Pat could miss time in 26, am I crazy to think Kyler should take league minimum while getting paid from Arizona to play under Andy Reid for a year? I semi-joked about that a couple of weeks ago, that I think it would absolutely be brilliant of Kyler Murray to just come in and come into Kansas City and do exactly that. Hey, you wouldn't have to rush Patrick back. You can play as much as you need. It would, I think, be great for Kyler's career just to take 1 year to do that and see what he could learn and do. I think it would be genius. I'm sure Kyler's not looking to, cut his pay, but like you said, I mean, he's going to have some money coming from Arizona. He's already been paid. So he's got a lot of money. And I'm with you, Luttrell. I mean, Andy Reid is either going to rejuvenate Kyler's career or just show that he can't do it at this level. But if I am an NFL quarterback that is like Kyler, somebody at this point in their career, maybe you've been a starter, maybe you're still trying to figure out, I would be crawling over broken glass to try and come play for Andy Reid next year, because you don't know. I mean, this should be an absolute, being the backup quarterback for the Chiefs next year, maybe even third string, that would be one of the best quarterback gigs in the league. For 1 year, just know you're going to go in. You don't have to worry about, trying to win the job long term. You're just going in there to work with Andy Reid, work with Patrick Mahomes, and keep everything, steady for Mahomes. And then if and when he gets back, you step out of the way and then you go get paid somewhere else. I think that would make someone an incredibly improved quarterback. So if Kyler doesn't want to do it, somebody should. Oh, I'm Dorsey. I would love to. And I mean, I'm absolutely looking at trying to do some off-season interviews just like this. So Dorsey's on my list, especially because I never really got to work with John Dorsey a lot. I only covered him for a year. And that 1 year, I mean, he did a little bit less media than he had been doing. There's probably some things I just wasn't a part of because I was a rookie. So I hadn't quite built up my street cred yet to be a part of them. But yeah, Dorsey would be great too. I would love to have a conversation with him. So, and I know all that was coming up when I was talking about, Dorsey versus Veach. Dorsey did a really good job in Kansas City. I mean, we'll always have some questions about what happened in Kansas City. And yes, I don't think there's any doubt he's had a good influence in Detroit. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, Philip, I think that was a really specific situation. I don't know if there's anybody else I don't know if Philip wants to come play an entire season again still. I don't know if he's that, but if he wants to, some team is desperate like the Colts were, and, maybe he's got some experience with it and thinks he could come in and make a playoff run. Well, he might put on that cape again. You never know. Yeah, I would be surprised if the Chiefs are not just feeding Travis to try and get those yards that he needs to catch Jason Witten as the number 2 all-time tight end. I think they're absolutely going to do that. The fact that Andy Reid already said that Travis is going to play this week would seem to suggest that they're going to do just that. I mean, that's basically the only thing that's on the agenda this week. I mean, I'm saying that, hey, evaluating young players is going to be on the agenda too, and that's important. But goal number 1 is getting Travis's yards. I don't think that's going to be a surprise. They're going to try and do that early and get it out of the way. Oh, you all are much too kind. Jason, appreciate the kind words you mentioned in there. J.K. Bliss, thanks for a really thoughtful answer to my mood question. Thoughts on the impact of the loss of Justin Reid on positive energy? He was a force for good. Another thing I will completely agree with. I do think that Justin Reid was a loss. Could they have afforded him? Maybe. I mean, it was not exactly an either or with him or Christian Fulton, because Christian Fulton got less money than Justin Reid did. And Justin Reid, I mean, got a really good deal. I mean, he basically got exactly the same contract that the Chiefs gave him for his second contract. And for a third contract, that's really good. I don't think there's any doubt. Justin Reid was an incredible leader. He was a really good dude on that defense. He was incredibly smart. He cost them on special teams too, because he was an incredible special teams player. Notable that they probably didn't block a kick this year, because that was kind of Justin Reid's thing. One of the, from what I've always heard, one of the best when it came to watching film on special teams and trying to figure things out, and time blocks, just an incredible. And like I said, I mean, even community. I mean, there was nothing to complain about Justin Reid. He was a great dude, great teammate, professional to work with, nothing but respect for Justin Reid. And yeah, I think he was a positive influence in that locker room. And they were lacking a veteran experience in that locker room for sure this year, especially, hey, Deion Bush could have been, one of those guys, but he gets injured early in the year, and that kind of takes him out of the equation and really made that room even younger. I think there's no doubt they could have used a Justin Reid on this team. Again, it came down to cost now and cost over 2 to 3 years. It was going to be difficult to pull off. So I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, if you put on the list, if you're making the list, Bliss, of things that went wrong this year, not having Justin Reid belongs on that list. Nikki, I have not watched Pluribus, but I did see that it was like number 1. Is that on Apple? I couldn't remember which one I saw it on. So hearing good things. So I guess I need to check it out. I think we're pretty much wrapped up here. So I did see Chiefer 65 PT 18. What we trade with, I think you're just talking about assets there. I mean, player wise, there's some options. I mean, there's no doubt your best, most tradable asset is Trent McDuffie. And I know that's going to be a tough decision and a controversial one. Trent McDuffie is another Justin Reid, an incredibly positive influence on a locker room, a good dude, a good player, a lot of respect there. It is with great hesitation that I always talk about the Chiefs having to trade Trent McDuffie. But again, it's a business, and it comes down to, can you afford to sign Trent McDuffie long term, and does that make the most sense for you from a football return? And it's going to be tough because Trent is coming off his toughest season so far. So there's no doubt about that. I think that this is definitely the season that he has struggled with the most. It's he has every right to ask for a lot of money, and your value of what Trent McDuffie is worth probably differs greatly based on just what kind of player do you see him as. Is he someone that you can reliably play on the outside, or did he get exposed this year against bigger receivers? Possibly. There's a lot of pros and cons, and we could probably have an entire discussion on just the pros and cons of trading Trent McDuffie, but he is their most valuable asset as far as picking up additional draft assets. Honestly, their first round pick, if it's a top 10 pick, is another tradable asset. Even trading down a few spots could at least get you, some more draft resources and get you a better pick. I know there's been discussions. We're not looking up here. I'm seeing at least the Chiefs right now projected with 7 picks, but 2 of those are conditional, so it's a possibility they don't have them. And this, once again, these are things I worry about in the offseason more than I worry about during the season. So I'll be worrying about all of these things next week. I'm looking at OTC's free agent tracker or comp pick formula and see what they've got for the Chiefs there. Yeah, they've got that 5th projected for the Chiefs for Justin Reed, so they should get at least 1 comp pick. But probably all. It doesn't look like there's anybody else that they would really necessarily. Sometimes there's always somebody else that sneaks in because the formula is not perfect that the OTC has. The NFL has their own formula, so they could pick up. So it could pick up another comp pick there. Moving around, I mean, and trading picks is sometimes your best way to pick up more trade assets. So those are your biggest things, and that's another story I should do is just to go through and kind of break down what tradable assets that the Chiefs do have. It's not many. I mean, McDuffie is the big one. I get asked about Chris Jones a lot, and no, I don't think that Chris Jones is a tradable asset just because of the contract and what he's got left, and both on the contract and as a player. I don't know that there's going to be a ton of interest in trading for Chris Smith, and certainly not for the value that you'd want to get for him, since I think he still has value to this team. So writing my note. One last question I saw before we're going to knock it off here. Alex wants to bring in Alex Smith to be new OC dream pairing. It is a dream, Alex. There's no doubt about it. I know from when Alex was still here in Kansas City, he's got no interest in being a coach after I'm honestly surprised he does as much with ESPN as he does, but I think that's about the most that he wants to do. I think it's notable that he's not doing games in the booth. The pregame stuff that he does is low impact. He probably only has to be away from home 1 day a week. Maybe a day here and there throughout the season or the summer to do some of those features and those interviews and everything that he does. But Alex Smith has a ton of money and loves spending time with his family in California. So no, I don't think he's ever coming back, and they're definitely not coming back into coaching. Everybody, thank you for joining us as always here. Sorry for the late start tonight. Glad we were able to still get in a 2-hour live stream. Probably not the greatest for my voice and for the cold, but we're going to make it work. Everybody, hope you are able to join us this week, Sunday, after the game. At some point, as you always know, it's always after Nick gets done with work at KSHB 41. But we're going to have 41 is the mic back in business. So really excited about that. Hope you can join us. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you on the other side of week 18. Take care, everybody. And